Who wants to talk about the weather? Come on, people, raise your hands. Okay, fine, put your hands down. I do not want to talk about the weather, except to say it is controlled, I don't like it, and winter doesn't even start until December 21st. Moving on, concerning yesterday's podcast, I must apologize to anyone who heard it and is confused on my position regarding Christmas. No, I do not celebrate it. I do not believe Jesus is the reason for the season. And if you listen closely and carefully to the Christmas songs I mentioned, if you watch the Christmas movies, the vast majority of them, over the decades even, Miracle on 34th Street, think of movies like that, it should become painfully obvious that Jesus is the one thing missing in all of them. How clever and how cool. Again, my apologies to the new subs who don't understand my somewhat dry sense of humor and sarcasm. And while I'm done talking about Christmas, there are a few things I'm going to be talking about today, and I'm just getting started. On Thursday, the 15th of December, 2022. There is a virtual smorgasbord of topics out here on this cold-ass wall I could choose from today. No mystery either, because there are all these topics. I'll say it again, we are already in World War III, and it is asymmetrical. We are being attacked from all sides. The ex-ambush people on meth and steroids. Trending on GolfAlphaBravo.com yesterday was Russia's, those goddamn Russians, loading their big nukes into silos, preparing them for combat. Each silo loaded is one more missile online. The targets? Oh, they made it crystal clear. The United States and the United Kingdom. United Kingdom is Great Britain, for you bottom feeders. They were named. They're pointing the finger at us. Coincidentally, this news about Russian preparedness for deploying nuclear weapons was the lead story on True News last night. I'll play a little of that last night's show and tell you, if interested, I suggest you watch it on TrueNews.com. TRUNEWS, one word.com. Now, before I play the soundbite, another coincidence just so happened yesterday with a mass mailing. An email mass mailing to people on True News email list. Let me read a part of it. Yeah, there we go. Come on, everything better work today. Good morning, True News family. We are excited to inform you that Mike Rathke is performing a live stream concert. Tickets are now available for The Harlot and The Bride. The Harlot. That don't sound good. I don't think harlots are good people, are they? The Harlot and the Bride is a concept album that tells the saga of a pastor surviving under the reign of the Antichrist. Well, there you go. Oh, no way. I mean, we just talked about that. Rick, you're peddling bullshit again. I mentioned the topic concerning Antichrist at 2:30 yesterday morning. This mass email came into my box yesterday afternoon. Obviously, I don't agree with Rick Wiles at True News on everything. In my humble opinion, hey people, humble messengers can only have humble opinions. I don't believe that the Creator put all his eggs in one basket. Just one man or just one group has the truth. Now you could certainly make the case that scriptures, the original autographs, not the English translations, contain the truth. But that gets kinda dicey too. Our language has been fucked up, and I don't think it's an accident either. This is precisely why I would rather be a humble messenger than a teacher, preacher of the Word. In other words, I don't do Bible studies on my podcasts. The risk of getting it wrong and leading people astray is very real, and teachers of the Word are held to a very high standard, way too high for me. So this Russian thing that is trending on GolfAlphaBravo.com, lead-off story for True News last night, is not trending nor even receiving decent coverage in the mainstream medium. How come? Why is that? I don't know. I'm just asking. I got an opinion, but I'm not going to share it. So, let's go to True News. I'll just play a little bit of this. Come on, don't fail me, boys. Here we go.
This is True News, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help us God.
Oh, wait a minute. I got a little issue with that, Rick. That's kind of a braggadocious statement. I read your email yesterday. Battling the Antichrist, huh? Okay, here we go.
Russia's preparations for nuclear war are advancing at an alarming pace. But few Americans are aware of the danger. Even worse, most of the people who do know about it are not bothered by the rising risk of a catastrophic war involving weapons of mass destruction. Doc Burkhardt and I will provide you with a comprehensive report on World War III. We begin today's True News with a tweet from the Russian allied military commander in Donetsk, one of the Ukrainian regions annexed by Russia this year during the war. And so here's the tweet.
And so it's saying here, in a rare admission on state TV, Donetsk militia commander Alexander Khodorkovsky suggests that Russia lacks the conventional means to win the war. His conclusion: but we have nuclear weapons for that. We created them for such situations. That is why there is only one option. We do have video of that interview from Russian television. Let's take a look at it.
Вы знаете, мы понимаем вот наш потенциал на сегодня. У нас есть ряд частей, которые вы...
Oh, I had to play a little bit of that. This is one worked up Russian commander. Let me tell you what he's saying. He's not saying they're going to have any trouble kicking this shit out of the Ukraine. That'd be easy peasy lemon squeezy. He's saying we ain't just fighting the Ukraine. The Ukraine is a proxy war, and we're really fighting all of NATO and all of the West. And that requires special technology. Can you say nuclear technology? So that's the latest trigger. And the latest trigger, actually, that has the Russians jumping through their assholes is the fact the U.S. and NATO are going to deploy Patriot anti-missile defense systems to the Ukraine and the trained non-Ukrainian personnel to operate them. Of course, these would not be the first U.S. and UK and NATO combat troops deployed in the Ukraine. Can you think special forces? People, you are watching history repeat itself. I've told you history repeats itself, and if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. Let's look at Vietnam just briefly. First, you send in the MACB, the military advisors, and what do? They advise the current sitting administration what's going on the ground. The administration says, great information, good job, boys, keep it up. And the advisors then say, it sure would help us if we had some logistical support units at least, bare minimum. So in goes the support people, who promptly advise the advisors to advise Washington, hey, things are getting a little hairy out here, dangerous even, and we could use some protection. Well, hell, Washington deploys elements of the Big Red One and the 3rd Marine Division. Not a lot of combat troops, just enough to meet mission objectives. But guess what? Mission objectives aren't static. That means they change sometimes overnight, because circumstances change on the ground overnight. It just so happens, it turns out, the goddamn Vietnamese don't like foreigners shitting in their backyard. Imagine that. They just got no sense of humor. It's not rocket science after this point. Before you know it, within a few short years, you have 500,000 Army troops in country. 500,000, that's 500,000 just Army personnel alone. Not to mention Navy, Marine, and Air Force personnel. You know what they say, if the camel's nose gets in the tent, before you know it, his ass is in your bed. Or they say something like that. I might have got that a little twisted. So, I strongly suggest you watch last night's show on True News, or don't, I don't care. This could get ugly, and it could get ugly real fast. And I only discussed one point of the asymmetrical warfare we are in. A big one, no doubt, but just one point. I had a lot of topics to choose from. So before I can run my dogs, I have to clean off my truck again. And when day breaks, I have to remove snow again. And yes, it could be worse. I don't have to do it with a shovel. I got a snowblower. By the way, did I ever tell you winter starts December 21st? And did I ever tell you I got stuff to do?